and welcome to the Rose Rehash. That's right, I'm Jared Freid. Every Monday night after The Bachelor, I recap the show, I give out awards, and I answer your questions. Remember, send in your questions. You can do it right now. You're going to tag me and tag at Jared Freid and hit me with some questions so I can answer them at the end of the show. Also, if you're new here, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make your comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What did I miss? Comment. It's all helpful. Even a nice hello helps me with the algorithm. That's right. We pray to the algorithm every day. So please make a comment, like the video, subscribe to the page. And I want to give a special shout out to my new good friends, Bennett and Ed and Dale. They came out to my shows in Tampa this past weekend. We threw back some drinks. We had a grand old time, me and the Mumsy boys. So just want to say, if you want to find me on tour just like these dudes, jaredfreid.com. I'm coming to Fort Lauderdale, Naples. I'm going to West Palm Beach. I'm going to be in Omaha, Nebraska. Let's get to the show. We start out the episode with Heather showing up at the house. That's where we left it. That's where we are tonight. Heather pisses me off. The whole idea of her showing up to me is entitlement in real life. It's delusional. It's someone who has never been told no in their entire life. And the women on the show, they are angry. They're sitting there being like, we've been here. We're about to introduce this guy to our parents next week. And you just show up out of nowhere. And Heather's whole premise is Hannah B said that we'd be great together. She said that in the way that someone says that when they don't want to introduce you. She was like, well, Heather was like, you know who you'd be great with? Matt James. It's my good friend. Well, if she thought you would be good with him, she would have set you guys up before he went on the show. If she thought you were so good, for him, she would have made a call. You wouldn't have had to get a rental car and drive across the country to go show up at his doorstep. So to me, I think Hannah B is friendly with Heather, knows she's delusional, and said that to be nice. She's like, you would be good with Matt James. Too bad he's on The Bachelor. And she was like, that's a good point. You know what? I'm sure Matt James is looking for a woman who's only made out with one guy and has never gave a blowjob before. I'm sure he's ready to settle down with that woman, considering he's The Bachelor. Come on. Let's have some realistic thoughts here. So Heather comes on, and she goes up to Matt, tells him her story. Matt looks at her, and Matt does have a moment where he's like, listen, I'm good friends with Hannah B. I got to trust her opinion. At that point, if I'm dealing with my maybe wife, I'm calling Hannah B, aren't you? Aren't you calling her going, hey, did you send a woman here because you thought we'd be that good for each other? If he had made that call, we would hear Hannah be like, wait, she came? Really? That's not what happened. Matt goes, I'm going to think about it because I think he's being nice. He sends off Heather to, go hang out with the other women. I'm sure that will go okay. This is really, I was giving Matt the benefit of the doubt, but his unawareness showed through on this episode more than any other episode. He looks at Heather, he goes, yeah, go play with the other girls while I think this over. As if they're all just going to be hanging in the sandbox, making new friends. No, the other women are like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing here? We don't want you here. You just showed up. They bring up the points that I'm bringing up right now. They're like, well, if they thought you were such a match, why didn't they fix you up before you came on the show? How come you're just finding out about this match now? And Heather, delusional Heather, is like, why are you all being mean to me? It's not like I showed up a week before you might introduce your new boyfriend to your parents. Finally, Matt comes to his senses. He looks at Heather. He's like, you gotta go. Get in your minivan. Get out of here. I'm sorry. Drive from which you came. Heather is then gone. And now we're back to the women. Matt looks at the women. He's like, my wife is sitting on this couch. I apologize. And it shows you how low the bar is. These women, Chelsea actually looks up and she's like, I've never been more attracted to him. Oh my God. He turned down a random woman for the other 11 women that he's dating. Yeah, Chelsea. That wasn't Prince Charming of a move. Matt James is seeing how easy it was for Tyler C. Tyler C on his season, all he did was get turned down by a woman there, and everyone was like, wow, what a gentleman. Matt James is getting that same treatment. They're like, oh my God. He told a stranger that he doesn't want to marry her in 2 weeks. Yeah, he did. So we go to the rose ceremony. Serena and Chelsea get sent home. This season has been so dedicated to drama that we actually haven't met any of these women. Like, I'm thinking now, I'm like, even Kit, who's become like the face of a certain type person, like we like to make fun of Kit, we don't know her. Even, Serena P, who we had a second one-on-one date with, we don't know her. Michelle, who I think he has the biggest connection with, we only saw her on one date. All of the other time has been spent with women fighting, and arguing. And we saw that earlier tonight with Heather. So we get done with the rose ceremony. We're down to 8 women, and Serena P is going to get the one-on-one date. Serena P gets the date. They're going to do tantric yoga. This is a date they do every season. They'll do some sort of, we're hugging and it's like sex, but it's not sex. We have some woman watching us who just got fresh off a ayahuasca trip, and they do this, and Serena is uncomfortable from minute one, and she says that. And I have to applaud Serena P's honesty. She's like, I mean, that's a hard thing to do, to be like, yeah, to literally be competing for this guy and look at him and go, this date's no good, not cool for me. I give you a lot of credit. That's you revealing who you are, which I enjoy. Matt James does not get it. Wouldn't you think if you were in front of someone else hugging a woman that you're on a date with, you would feel that they don't really like what's going on? Wouldn't you think that the vibe would be felt? This is, again, Matt James, unaware. How did he not know that a woman that is sitting there going, yeah, I'm not looking to kiss you in front of this other person? Like, it's a little bit bizarre. Someone's writing, Matt cannot have sisters. It's not possible. He's oblivious to vibes. I don't have sisters, and I noticed the vibe on the screen. I was sitting here going, this is awkward. Matt, to me, we're learning more about him as we are learning about the women. To me, he's hey, we're just having fun, and he only cares about his fun, getting to his place, and you can tag along if you'd like. That's my opinion so far. So we have this date that is brutally awkward. We go to the dinner time. Serena tells Matt she doesn't like the tantric yoga that they did, and his first question is like, so did you think I was going to drop you? It's like, Matt, leave it behind. Why don't you apologize? Hey, I made the wrong date. I should know you better if I'm going to meet your family next week to bring you on such a date like that. So we have the date with Serena. He ends up giving her the rose. It doesn't feel like they're a match. It doesn't feel like they get to know each other, but he gives her a rose anyways. To me, I didn't think Serena would accept the rose. To me, if I'm her, I'm going, hey, he didn't even take interest to know what type of date I would like. I don't know if I should be here with him. This wasn't really, like, if I'm Serena P, like, shouldn't she say no to him at that point? I don't know. So they move on from that date. We go to a group date, and it's everyone except Jasenia. Jasenia is going to get the second one-on-one. We have everyone. The group date was bizarre. The group date, Matt James basically starts it saying, hey, ladies, now's the time to have any talk you want to have with me. And then the episode turns into Shark Tank. They're all like, and I want to give you 50% of my love to be your next wife, and I'm going to give you my family for the low, low price of my heart. And he's like, and he looks at Abigail, and he's like, I don't know. For that reason, I'm out. He looks at, and then he ends up giving, so he sends Abigail home, which shocks everybody because they did have a connection in the beginning, but it really didn't go anywhere. Sends Abigail home, comes back to the women, and they're like, what's going on here? He looks at those women, and he starts talking to them again, and again, they start going, I'm falling in love with you. I'd love to sell you this Hyundai. It turns into a sales meeting. It turns to them like, and for that reason, I'd like to give you. It's just a bizarre. And Matt's kind of looking. I'm like, all right, I'm listening. Yeah, I could be entertained by maybe getting engaged to you. It's just a little too salesy right now. He ends the date by giving Rachel the rose. Rachel and Matt go off and do a hugging slow dance in front of a singer that we have all never heard of. They do the hugging slow dance while the women are shown crying. They're doing a cry montage of them just sitting in silence. Then they go, and then we get, that date ends, and Kit shows up at Matt's apartment. Kit shows up. Kit, earlier in this date, looked at Matt and said, hey, I just want to let you know that I have a certain life path I'm looking to go on. And at that point, you're going, oh, wow. Kit wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to, follow in her mother's footsteps, maybe become a designer. And she's like, I got a lot of traveling to do. I got a lot of cooking to do. I want to be drinking in the West Village. I want to go to Brooklyn every now and again. You're like, Kit, this is the most rich girl speech I've ever heard. She's like, I'll have a baby around 25. Can you imagine being so privileged to call your age out on when you'll have a kid? No care for whether you're financially stable enough or if your life is ready. She's like, 25's when the baby's coming, because my mom said she'll pay for the night nurse that we need. Like, okay, Kit. And to me, if I'm mad, I'm going, all right, at least life is kind of set up. I can do all the guys trips I want while she's off in Aspen. Kit doesn't get the rose on that date. She sees the writing on the wall. She shows up at his apartment, and she's like, I'm going to send myself home. And it's like, Kit, it kind of outs Kit as someone who came here for an opportunity. I think if you send yourself home when you see that you're like, oh, there's a chance that you might have to actually meet my mom who doesn't really want to be on TV. You know what? No, I'm going to get out of here. No worries, everybody. We're good. See ya. Like, Kit, it just, to me, it said that Kit came on the show for other opportunities. Maybe she got them. I don't know. She got to show off her fashion. She got to look like an American Girl's doll. Good for her. So we lose Kit. We lose Abigail. We go to Serena's one-on-one, or Jasenia's one-on-one date is at they're going to do car drifting, which looked like I would be throwing up all over the place. They go on this date. It feels like two people who just met that day. It doesn't feel like there's any connection. At this point, I mean, as a guy, a date like this kind of scares you. You're like, Matt doesn't seem to connect with her. She doesn't seem to connect with him. They don't ever get personal. They just kind of talk about their feelings like in a rooftop manner. They're like, I do like falling in love with you, hypothetically, and meeting my parents. It just felt like an interview, like I'm good in Excel. And then, Jasenia is like, I'm falling in love with you. And it just feels like Jasenia was just like, well, I'm here on the week before the meet the parents date, so I gotta say I'm falling in love with you. And Matt reacts like he has just been asked a question about the book he didn't read over summer vacation. He's like, so, yeah, what is there to say about these Matt Christopher books? I don't know. And it's like, dude, and then he sends her home. He waves the flower in her face, and he's like, yeah, this rose will actually not go to you. And he puts it in his back pocket, sends Jasenia home. And then we're going to go to the rose ceremony, and it comes down to who's going to meet the parents. And we already have Serena P with a rose. We already have Rachel with a rose. And he gives another rose to Michelle, who I think he has a genuine connection with. And then he gives the other one to Bree, who we've literally only seen on camera like 3 times. So Piper goes home. We did get to meet Piper. She always seemed sweet. She always seemed nice. She's in the car. She's crying. She's like, I'm not someone who has emotions. It's like, yeah, you do. We're watching them right now. And that's our episode. Let's go give out some awards. The Batches is where I give out awards for each episode. I'm going to start with the roses tonight. Roses to the characters I love the most. And the divorce papers go to the characters that just didn't cut it this episode. I'm going to tell you, roses are going to go to Serena P. I love that Serena P was open and just like, yeah, this date isn't me. Like, I'm not here to like wrap my legs around someone on TV. Just feels kind of weird. And I like that. She's in a competition. She didn't have to say that. She decided, hey, I'm going to let this guy know who I am. And for that reason, she gets the rose. So good for her. The next rose is going to go to Brie. Brie, I'm going to say, we saw you for 4 minutes this whole season, and you're beautiful. You seem very nice. But I don't know what you did, but we're going to meet your parents at the same time we meet you. And the same goes for Michelle. That's my last rose. Michelle, both, I gotta say, Michelle and Brie get the roses for the same exact reason. We've really never seen them on camera. They seem perfectly nice. They've been patient. They haven't done any of the drama, which is probably why they weren't on camera. Like, you give the drama, the cameras follow you, and they want to hear what you're going to say so we can make fun of it the next day. So Michelle and Brie have just been kind of, biding their time. Good for them. The divorce papers. Let's first give it to Chris Harrison. Chris Harrison, now, every time he's on screen, it is distracting. I know they've already taped these, but him stepping down, we're all sitting here like every time you look at him, and you can tell they edited him out even more. It feels like they were like, yeah, we'll get him just being like, hello, ladies. Good night, ladies. 2 roses. Matt, you okay? Like, it just feels like they tried to strip Chris Harrison out of it as much as possible, and it's even more distracting the less he's on the screen. The next divorce paper goes to Kit. Kit, why'd you come on the show? You did. Kit engaged in all the drama. She was right there next to Victoria when they walked by the new girls and called them disgusting for no reason. Then she kind of laid back because she wanted to stay on the show to get herself a good enough name to do whatever project she had enough money to invest in anyways without the show afterwards. So Kit, when she saw that her exit was going to be her getting sent home, she's like, no, I'm sending myself home on my own. That's how I get extra screen time. So that's why she shows up to his place. She even, when Kit noticed she was going to go home, she even looked at him and goes, hey, I just got to let you know I have a timeline, which is no timeline at all. You don't have to have babies until I'm 25 and I'm 21. Is that good enough to get home to my home? And Matt's like, I don't know. She's like, I'm not getting sent home. I'm out of here. So, Kit, when you send yourself home this late in the game, you have taken up a spot from someone else that could have gotten to know him. The last divorce paper goes to Matt James. Matt James has proven himself to be unaware. He is aloof to the point of his own detriment and the show's detriment. He looked at Heather. He was like, let me think about this. Go meet the other girls. Are you serious? You thought she was just going to go over to the other women and be like, hi, I'm the new girl 16 weeks into the show. Come on, Matt. Then he goes on the tantric sex date. He doesn't notice once that Serena P doesn't like her legs wrapped around him. He doesn't notice once that she doesn't like planking with her crotch above his face while they're 69ing in front of some woman who left her acting position to become a yoga teacher. Are you kidding me? He didn't notice once this whole season that every woman in the house hated each other. It took him until they were having boxing matches and actually punching each other in the faces to notice that there was a bad vibe in this house, that he had to get involved and be like, hey, I don't want bullying here. To me, the longer this goes, the more aloof we see Matt James, the more we come to realize that a lot of this drama in the house is by Matt James's design or by his lack of caring that the women are at each other's throats. Let's take some questions. Do we have any questions tonight? What are Rachel's parents going to be like? It's going to be wild based on everything that's been written, and I'm sure this date will be the longest one of all of them. I'm sure they're going to play up politics in any way they can. I'm sure this will be the one that they're going to make everyone look as awkward as possible, hang on awkward silences, get the tough questions. Based on everything that's come out about her, it's going to be kind of a must watch. And I'm sure the reporting won't end. This week, there will be more rumors and pictures that come out because they just want to get people hyped up for the show. It's going to be a watch. You got to watch it. So what else we got? Was Heather the worst producer ploy ever or what? If it was the producers, then everything about it looked bad. Here's the thing. Let's say Heather asked to be on the show. And asked midway through and kept insisting. That's the worst. And let's say it's the producers were like, who can we throw in here? And they're like, how about Heather? That's the worst. Let's say it was Hannah B that was just setting up her friend for failure. To me, it's the worst look for Hannah B as a friend. Like, as a friend, where Hannah B has her name referenced 16 times as, well, she said we'd be a good match. Yeah, that's the worst friend ever. Your friend that's like, you would be a good match when the person's already in a relationship. That's not a good friend. That's someone that's leading you down the road of delusion. To me, it's the worst Hannah B moment on the show. Let's do another one. Thoughts on Vibrator Katie's charcuterie board? I didn't get a chance to see it, but it seems to me all these Bachelor contestants are making charcuterie boards, especially Matt James. Here's the problem with charcuterie boards that are made for yourself is that they're usually made for the internet, which makes them bad charcuterie boards. When you're not thinking of the stomach of the people at your house for a party, that's when your board gets bad. So these people are all doing it alone. So they're going to be bad because it's for an Instagram like and not for someone who's hungry at your party. We'll do one more. Jared for Bachelor host. Will you accept that, Rose? I'm glad you asked. Flash it up on the screen. Use the hashtag JTrain for host to nominate me as the next host of The Bachelor. I promise to make very specific changes if I am elected. I will make sure that dates will only happen that The Bachelor can afford. If they get, I'll promise one date will be held at a Chinese food buffet. I promise that if elected Bachelor host, you will see the Bachelor asked why he sent someone home after they have left and get questioned with a lie detector for that why. I'm coming with new ideas. I'm coming with new energy. JTrain for host, hashtag JTrain for host. That's our Rose Rehash. We'll be back next week.